We bought the house in the fall of 2019, and we knew that we really wanted to start planting and harvesting our own fruits and vegetables. When we walked around the property, we noticed all of these dead-looking thorny sticks everywhere, and when I looked them up, we found out that they were wild blackberries. Now you know that blackberries are expensive and they only give you like 6 in a carton. So we were immediately thinking free food. They're going to provide us with some free fruit, and the foliage honestly was an unexpected benefit because it creates a natural defense for anything that wants to come like running through. We start seeing the flower buds on these in May and June and usually start picking late in July. And you can see here that the heat is getting the best of me. We usually take the dogs along to scare away the deer. They're my worst enemy. They haunt me in my dreams and lurk in these trees. We're very happy to have lots of wild blackberries, but to be honest, the fruit can be kind of small and slightly bitter, so we tend to use these for baking. Also, the brambles can get a little sticky, so you need to be suited and booted if you don't want to get hurt during harvesting. In the spring, you'll start to see new leaves appear on the existing canes and baby plants that can be left or transplanted to other areas. And after a couple of weeks, you'll notice flower buds appear on your canes and beautiful white flowers. There are different kinds of blackberries, even wild ones, so some flowers may be more round and others may be more star-shaped, depending on the type. In the spring of 2020, I planted 6 small blackberry plants from Stark Brothers, and this is what they look like 2 years later. We planted 3 Prime Ark 45s and 3 Prime Ark Freedoms, and they have gone crazy. We started spreading the Prime Ark Freedoms because the canes are thornless and the fruit is large and reminds me of Welch's grape juice. The Prime Ark 45s are delicious too, but it's a hassle getting attacked every time you want some fruit, and I want the little guy to be able to pick fruit safely, so thornless it is. Here's a section where we spread the new plants, and you'll see how quickly they grew in one season in just a sec. One issue that I struggle with across most of my climbing or tall plants is staking. It is true. My physical body will find any way possible to stake something incorrectly or to just not stake it at all. And you can see that it really does create a hot mess. When you don't stake your blackberries, it really decreases the pollination of the flowers since the insects can't, access the flowers. The first year, I didn't stake at all and let the plants spread. During the second year, it got out of hand. So I decided to use some bamboo stakes and garden netting, and that was a big mistake. Not only is it not strong enough to hold the canes, but it's a nightmare removing it because the thorns on the Prime Ark variety are like sticky. And here's my second course on how to not stake your blackberries. First, I'm removing some of the dead weeds. We'll likely get a weed whacker out here. Do yourself a favor and mulch around the canes to prevent the weeds when you're planting. I'm not too picky about the aesthetics, but weeding is a hassle in the heat. Here, I'm using the garden stakes and really thick garden twine. And to be honest, I stopped when I realized that it looked like crap. So learn from me and stake your blackberries when you plant them by using T-post and garden wire and not your imagination. By the way, these are the thornless canes that we spread a couple months earlier. I recommend pruning them at about 5 feet to increase the side growth that produces more flowers. And when the canes are left unpruned, they tend to grow long enough to bend and root in the soil, so you get new plants. So your choice. Despite my lack of staking and weeding, Mother Nature has given me a pass and provided me with fruit regardless of my neglect. The fruit on both the Prime Ark varieties are large and tasty, although I prefer the juiciness of the Prime Ark Freedom variety. But to be honest, I wouldn't say that these plants are completely pest-free. We've been warring with these Japanese beetles that we have no hope of winning this battle. They destroy the leaves on our raspberries, our blackberries, our sunflowers, our tomatoes, everything that you can think of, and the fruit too. During late October, we also noticed that the wasps swarm our second crop of blackberries, and we're just too scared to try to harvest them. It's real out there, so we just let them have it. And here's one of our most prolific pests in the garden. Ezra, say hi. Say hi. Say what up, what up. The Prime Ark 45 variety, which are the ones with the thorns, tend to produce more fruit about a week or two before the Freedom variety. We start to see flowers in April and pick them in late June, early July. That provides a good succession considering the wild blackberries are fruiting when these are kind of petering out. Usually I have my garden assistant Baxter along for the ride, and he's not free. He gets paid by the blackberry. Even during the times last season when the lawnmower screwed us and garden maintenance was at an all-time high, blackberries still had to get harvested. I recommend wearing a hat, long shirt, long pants, and boots when harvesting, not only because of the thorns, but you have to be careful with ticks too. Although I do break my own rules sometimes, and I regret it almost every time. And here I am about to feed the land manager. He wants his berries and he wants them now. These raspberries deserve a special shout out for adding volume to our berry harvest during those beginning weeks, and they're absolutely delicious. I think these are the heritage variety, and they grow and spread through canes similar to blackberries. This is the time of year that we really don't buy much fruit from the grocery store. Spoiler alert, what do you think I do with all of these berries? Do I really need to answer this? Not to mention the 4 deer watchers that are also paid in berries. My little brother has accepted his fate. Every time he visits through spring and fall, he lends a hand. And yes, we're using sticks to check for snakes. So what about our harvest? We got bowlfuls of wild blackberries, but it got a little too hot in the season and those small berries weren't worth it. So during the height of harvesting, we got about 1 pound of blackberries every other day. And I coordinated those harvests with other vegetables and fruits in the garden. With the harvest that we didn't eat fresh, we froze, and I made a huge blackberry cobbler that wasn't easy on the eyes, but it was easy on the taste buds. And I made blackberry preserves and canned it for winter use, and that was great also. From my experience, the Prime Ark Freedom variety is worth your while. They are thornless, large, and extremely tasty, but you really can't go wrong with any of them. In the end, besides the staking and thorns, blackberries are really a delicious and easy plant to grow. And if I can do it without much effort, I'm sure you can grow them twice as good. Thanks for watching.